All right, let's do it. It's time for the Morning Meowncements. Morning Meowncements on the Nightcap with Nightcat YouTube channel. This is the kitsch-minded morning show where we get you ready for the day. I am so happy that you're here. We've got a great show coming up for you. I'm going to tell you how people are getting stabbed at Dracula's castle, and it's not even with wooden stakes this time. And then we're going to dive into the book of useless information. I'm going to give you the full story of Mike the Headless Chicken. We know Mike the Headless Chicken. He's like one of the most famous chickens ever. I'm going to tell you the full story behind that. So I guess let's get started then with the Morning Mews. The Morning Mews is the part of the show. Oh, hey, real quick before I keep going, don't forget to say hi in the comments or the live chat. Just comment, hey, what's going on? Good morning. Tell me what's going on in your life. I always like to get around to the chat while we're live at some point. So tell me what's going on. I'd love to discuss it with you. You never call anymore. You never call your mother. Talk to me. Tell me what's going on. I want to get started with... where did my story go? There we go. NBC. NBC has informed HFPA, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Those are the people... If you don't know, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association is literally just a collection of journalists, and they're the ones that vote for, nominate, and put on the Golden Globes every year. The Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Well, they've been saying for years now, because they haven't had a black member of the association for years, and they've been saying for years now that they are going to recruit more people of color. They are going to open up, and they're going to open more spots for new members of the association, and then they're going to recruit specifically black and people of color. Now, here's the thing, they haven't. They haven't. They didn't do any of that. In fact, Amy Poehler and Tina Fey joked about it during the award show this year in February. So, because they've been dragging their feet so long and they haven't actually done anything to mitigate their racial bias, NBC has informed them that they will no longer be showing the Golden Globes until they can get their act together. They said, you're not putting one on in 2022. I'll tell you that much. Until you're more racially diverse, we're not airing you the Golden Globes, and nothing in 2021, which I think is interesting. Now, I don't care about award shows, so I'm just like, whatever. But I do think that this is a good way to strong-arm people into not being racist anymore. Like, get it together. It's 2021, for crying out loud. And also to have 0 black members, like, it's one thing if it's just like a real white room, but you're at that point with 0 black members, you're actively keeping black people out of the decision-making process. NBC says that failure to implement meaningful reform by February 2021's show is what led them to this decision. In solidarity, Tom Cruise has also returned all of his Golden Globes. So he won 2 Best Actor, Jerry Maguire, and Born on the 4th of July, and then there was a third one I can't remember. But he's returned all of his Golden Globes to HFPA and in protest, and just says, get it together. You guys have been saying you're going to do this forever. Actually do it now. HFPA issued a statement saying that they are going to take the next year. They're hoping for a 2023 show, and they're going to take the next year to recruit 20 more people with an emphasis on recruiting racial minorities. Okay. Well, you've said that before. You've already said that, so pick up the pace. All right, the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo may not be going on. They've already been postponed. It is the year 2021, and the 2020 games were supposed to be happening this summer. They got postponed due to COVID, which is hard because, like, the Olympics never get postponed. You know what I mean? Not even through, like, World War II. we were still doing that stuff. So it was a pretty big deal for them to push it at all. Well, now there's been a surge in COVID cases in a lot of major Japanese cities, and the Japanese government has basically put the whole country, I mean, they did it by city, but because all the cities are seeing a surge, basically the entire country of Japan is on a state of emergency until the end of May. The IOC, International Olympics Committee president, was supposed to go out there and take a tour where the torch is being run and all that stuff, get ready for the games, because the games are this summer. Well, he had to cancel that trip, so he won't be going back until the state of emergency has been officially declared over. But that means that they'll only, because if the state of emergency runs till the end of May. That only leaves them 2 months. The games are on July 23rd. That only leaves them 2 months from the time they're in a state of emergency to the time they're welcoming the world into their tiny country. I just don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. And that's a bummer, because let me tell you, I've never been excited for the Olympics before until they were in Tokyo, because at the end of the 2012, or at the end of the 2016? The 2016 games, whatever it was, when they had the Prime Minister of Japan pop up through a Mario tube during the Olympics. It was so good. It was so good. I'm so upset that we're not going to see that. So we'll see. Like I said, they're really trying really hard to do it, even though the citizens are protesting. There have been a lot of citizen protests like, hey, no, you really shouldn't bring the entire world here to our country right now. So, you know, if you were looking forward to the Olympics, don't get your hopes up too high quite yet. We're still not out of the woods there. All right, this is too cool. This is just the coolest thing. So we've seen the COVID mass vaccination sites, right? So there are smaller locales, but mostly it's been at like event centers or hotels or whatever. Like I got mine in the parking lot of the Maverick Center, which, you know, is cool. It's fine. It was convenient. I just drove right through. They stabbed me in the arm. I sat in a waiting stall for 15 minutes and then drove off. It was the best. So convenient. But I think I would have traded all of that convenience in to go to Romania to get my vaccine, because Dracula's castle has been turned into a COVID mass vaccination site. So it's the Bran Castle in Transylvania. Allegedly, that's the castle that Bram Stoker imagined Dracula lived in. So, like, that was the inspiration for Dracula's castle. But instead of going in and getting bit, you get a different kind of stab. You're gonna get yourself a COVID-19 vaccine. So they're doing the Pfizer vaccines, and when you get it, Mike, I feel like our COVID cards are kind of boring, right? It's just like first dose, second dose, blah, 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 whatever. They get a vaccine diploma is what they're calling it. It's not even a vaccine recognition, record card or whatever. It is literally a diploma, and it has a little nurse with a syringe and vampire teeth on it. Like, oh, you got your COVID vaccine over at the Dracula's castle. They also, after you get your shot, you get to take a tour of the Bran Castle torture rooms. Ooh, so spooky. Apparently there are still 52 medieval torture devices that are still held in there. So you get your shot, you walk through. I'm assuming that that's how you spend your 15 minutes after you get your shot to see if you have any side effects. But God, I want to go. So there were about, I think they said 400 people got vaccinated over the weekend. Only 2%, I think, of the country had been vaccinated, but this is really renewed interest. And I guess their travel minister has been getting bombarded with calls from all sorts of foreigners asking, like, hey, can I fly into Romania and get my vaccine at the Dracula castle? And they said, nope, that's for Romanians only. I think that's pretty messed up, man, because that's like the coolest thing to do. I got mine at a sports football arena, okay? I'd rather have gotten it at an old vampire castle. Call me crazy, but that seems like the better deal. And that is the Morning Mews. Before we continue, I would like to quickly plug our Patreon, patreon.com/nightcatshow. If you'd like to support Nightcat, if you want to see this show keep going, if you want to see our weekly shows, our podcasts, the true crime tours, if you want to see all of that continue, the way that you can support is through Patreon. I've got two membership tiers. There's the $3 tier and the $5 tier. Donate either of those amounts. There are different benefits for each one. But part of the thing that you get when you become a patron is you get a shout out on the show. And actually, Lacey Snow, who was a patron, just recently upped her pledge. So I really appreciate that, Lacey. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That monthly pledge is going to help so much. If you want to be just like Lacey and help out the Nightcat brand, patreon.com/nightcatshow is the place to go. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. $3 a month. That's all I need. If you got it, you got it. If you don't, you don't. I get it. But if you got it, that would be awesome. Thank you. All right, let's check it out the chat. Let's see how everyone's doing. Good morning, Shelby. Good morning, Marissa. Good morning, Katie. Good morning, Zizor. How are you, buddy? Sadie, good morning, dear. Nathan, I am also wishing you a very peaceful now. Peaceful yogi hands. That's the emoji he gave me. Well, actually, those are usually the prayer emoji hands that I'm just like, please let him message me back. But I do like that it's just the clapped hand bow type situation. Just like, wonderful day, peaceful day to you as well, Nathan. Good morning, Mindy. Good morning, Marsha. Good morning, Erica. Oh, yes, Katie, Peyton has been going through a lot. I feel like every picture I see is, like, you posting from a doctor's office. Just wanted to let you all know that my Peyton is doing better. After a bunch of tests, they thought it was something scary, but it's not, and it's going away on its own. Thank you. Just a little bit of limping. Thanks for keeping us informed. I'm glad Peyton's doing better. If Peyton, you're watching, hi! Mindy, yes, yay, Katie. No, Sizor, I meant the real Dracula's Castle. I did not mean the Dracula's Castle at Lagoon. Although, Dracula's Castle at Lagoon is like one of the only rides I'll ride. I love those animatronic scary houses. They're the funnest. Alright. Well, good morning. I'm so happy to see you here. Don't forget to like this video. Hey, if you're watching right now, it's gonna take 2 seconds. Just head over there and like it. I see that there are at least 15 of you on here. At least. I should have at least 15 likes on this video, okay? Don't make me call your mother. All right, I think it's time then for us to dive into the Book of Useless Information. The Book of Useless Information, this is a bathroom reader, just full of fun facts and interesting stories. Now, I, in the past, have heard of Mike the Chicken. You know Mike the Chicken, I'm assuming. Mike the Headless Chicken from Colorado. He lived for a while without a head, and I've never understood how or why, and I've never really looked much into the story, but here's the full story. I'm going to tell you the story of Mike the Headless Chicken. On a fall day in 1945, on a farm in Fruita, Colorado, chickens were meeting their maker. Listen, I will give you a little bit of a warning in case there are little ones listening. It's a little graphic, but it's also the circle of life. If you eat chicken nuggets, sometimes they gotta cut a chicken's head off for that. Sometimes. Mine are made out of soy. But, like, if your chicken nuggets are made out of chicken, then this is what has to happen, okay? So let's all bear with me here. Lloyd and Clara Olson slaughtered chickens on their farm all the time. But on this particular day, this chicken didn't stop flapping around. So we all know that you chop off a chicken's head and it runs around like a chicken with its head cut off. It'll usually run around for a couple of minutes. It's typically involuntary movements. They don't really know what they're doing. They're just sort of like reflexing and then it's over, right? Well, most headless chickens live for only a couple of minutes. This bird lived for several hours, and then a couple of days, and eventually several months without a head. Lloyd was fascinated by this chicken that somehow cheated death. The chicken continued to behave exactly like other chickens on the farm. The only difference is that he didn't have a head. So, what they realized that they had to do is, to keep this chicken alive, is that they had to pump nutrients into his body. So they mixed up, like, water, and they crushed up some grain, and they mixed it up into, like, this almost chicken, I don't know, what milk? It's chicken milk. So they made chicken milk, and then they would just pour it down his esophagus. They'd look into his neck hole and pour it right down there so that he could eat. Using an eyedropper, that's how they did it, not a syringe, excuse me, it was an eyedropper. And they would drop down, and then they would pour sand down his belly, because chickens, they'll like pick up sand grains and pebbles and stuff, and that helps grind their food with their gizzard in their belly, right? Well, obviously he's not out there picking up little rocks and sand and stuff, so they just had to pour sand. So they'd pour watered down grains down his throat, and then they'd pour sand down his throat so that he could properly digest. That's how they were keeping this chicken alive. However, they saw real showbiz potential with Mike the Headless Chicken. Scientists examined Mike, determined that Lloyd had actually done a really bad job of slaughtering him. Most of the head was gone, but the slice had missed Mike's jugular vein, and a blood clot prevented him from bleeding to death. Most chickens' reflexes originate in the brainstem, and Mike's brainstem was pretty much untouched. So it sounds like he missed all of the things that he was supposed to hit and just cut off barely enough to keep this chicken alive. None of that mattered to the general public, by the way. They were just excited to go to the state fair and see Mike the Headless Chicken. Most of his head was gone. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to read. A national sideshow tour in 1945 picked up Mike, and people lined up and paid a quarter for the privilege to look at that chicken's open neck hole. Blech. Mike was drawing in about $4,500 a month, which today would be equivalent to $50,000. He was insured for $10,000 and featured in Life magazine. Here's the thing. So everyone's just like, well, where's Mike's head? You'd think you'd keep Mike's head. Now, they had a chicken head that they would display like on a pillow or in a jar next to Mike while he was on tour. But everyone's just like, I don't think that's a real head. The rumor on the street is that the dog, the family dog, ate Mike's head, Mike's original real head. So they got just another regular chicken head and put that up. And they're like, yeah, that's Mike. That's Mike's chicken head right there. I like to imagine, though, they didn't do a good job matching, so it was just like a white chicken head on a black chicken body or something. That would be very Frankenstein-y. All right. And obviously, Mike was going to have to die at some point, so here's that story. Mike it wasn't the lack of a head. Mike probably could have survived on this whole chicken, water, sand diet without a head for a long time. The problem was that because he was missing a part of his throat, he kept choking on his own mucus. There was nowhere for his snot to go. So they started noticing that anytime he would choke, he needed his mucus taken out. They got a syringe and sucked the mucus out of his neck hole. I know. Try not to pass out. Good morning. I hope you're eating breakfast. So they one night they're driving home back to Colorado after a fair, and they hear Mike choking in the hotel room. So they wake up and they try to find the syringe. Well, they had left the syringe in the last town, and they couldn't find one in time, and sadly, Mike passed away. He passed away, are you ready for this? In Phoenix, Arizona. The bird that wouldn't die, the bird that died and came back, died in Phoenix, Arizona. I just feel like that's somewhat poetic, isn't it? He burst into flame, and then there was just a baby chicken without a head, and the cycle will continue forever. And that is the book of useless information. Mike the Headless Chicken is one of the grossest stories. I'm so grossed out about it. And back in the day, everyone was so starved for entertainment, they were gonna go pay a quarter, which was a lot of money. They're like, I'm gonna go drop a quarter to watch that chicken without a neck. Now, you know what, though? That chicken would have 15 million followers on TikTok, so I'm not going to shade Mike the Headless Chicken for cashing in on some fame real quick. All right, let's see. We did the book of useless information. We talked about the Patreon. I said good morning to everybody. Morning Mews. I think that's it. Thank you so much for coming in, being a part of the Nightcat brand. I've got some stuff that I'm working on. I can't reveal a whole lot about it, but basically I'm just sort of trying to reorganize Nightcat a little bit and move things around and see what's working and what's not working. And yeah, that's what's going on with me these days. I'm just sort of figuring out the next steps. Like I told you yesterday, I applied for my business license for the true crime tours. I hope those will be coming back soon. If you want to keep up on anything that I'm doing, though, I'd recommend checking out the link tree in the description of this video, linktr.ee/JacksonWitt. Click on that. It's going to take you not only to all of my current projects and videos and stuff, it also has all of the social media accounts. Go follow us on social media. Cuz, here's the thing. You're on TikTok, yes? I assume a lot of us are on TikTok. I got a notification from TikTok that if I can get to 10,000, I've already hit all of the other requirements. Just one last requirement. If I can get 10,000 followers on TikTok, I can start applying for TikTok money to make videos. They have a TikTok creator fund, but you have to have 10,000 followers, and there are other requirements, but I've already met those. I'm 100. Last time I looked, I'm 110 followers away from being able to apply for that creator money. So if you are on TikTok, and you're not following Jackson Witt at Jackson Witt, Jackson with a CKWHITT, you can also find the link in the link tree. Go follow me, please, because then we're gonna get TikTok money. Go follow me on TikTok. That would be super great. All right, I'm gonna turn it over to the fish for 3 minutes of fish. I hope you have just the best day. No, why do I keep doing that? I'm not wishing people a best day anymore. I have to like write it somewhere on the lights or the ceiling or something so I stop forgetting. Have the day that you deserve. Here is your 3 minutes of fish. Bye, bye.